Squad Show, and I want to say congrats to our man Marcus Mosier and his wife for the new addition, their new baby, to the Marcus Mosier family. Congrats from all of us.
Oh, congrats, Marcus. My name is Iisha Morrison, and I am enjoying the Senior Bowl stuff and getting all the information. And this is kind of when it starts getting real.
I love that.
Glenn Stretch Smith, is it really Super Bowl week? Really?
It doesn't feel like it,
How
huh?
about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
All right, well, Super Bowl week is here. In fact, as we are recording this, Super Bowl opening night is getting underway in Santa Clara, or close to getting underway. They're wrapping up their big news conference, the media, with Commissioner Roger Goodell. We'll see what he has to say. But February is here, and so is another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. As always, we start with a welcome to Iisha Morrison, because she's got so many going on, and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. Again, as we say, congrats to Marcus Mosier and his wife and the new addition to their family. Marcus will be back with us next week, and Landon McCool, busy today as well. He'll be back on the show coming up on Thursday. But in the meantime, we really have a lot to get into. I was thinking about this. I'm really, really excited about the coaching additions and the way that they're filling up this defensive staff. And I need to say, though, before that you need to – today's episode is brought to you by Game Time, and you need to download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So what I was going to say was I'm really excited about the coaching staff hires that we've seen go down on the defensive side. Really, really excited about that. I get criticized sometimes. Like, people will say, Jeff, can you be a little more excited? Like, hey, the Cowboys are 7-9-1, and they didn't make the playoffs. What a great – no, I'm not going to be excited when a team goes 7-9-1. They don't make the playoffs. I will be excited, though, when good moments happen, and I am genuinely excited about the coaching staff hires. I think the defense is really going to have a new identity, and I can't wait to see the process and see how it shapes up.
Yeah, I mean, we see Coach has been talking about it all year, all season, is that, this secondary has not been up to par. And I think that Dallas and the way that they have approached, addressing that side of the ball, they clearly feel the same way. I mean, they've addressed it. Actually, Steven said it the other day. It's at the Senior Bowl. But yeah, in regard to the hires, yeah, all these guys are very secondary focused. I mean, obviously they can do other things, but when you talk about Derek Ansley, this gentleman has experience in the SEC, coached at Alabama. Obviously, there is some concern. Like, some people have some concerns at how short his stint was at Green Bay. But honestly, Coach knows, and I'm sure any coach will tell you, is like, sometimes it happens that way. It happens that way. You can coach your ass off, and if a head coach gets fired, then that's it. Like, it's so it's a collective thing. But one thing that I am interested in when it comes to Ansley is the fact that his one place where he specializes, from my understanding, is safety. And so, with Parker, you're getting an all-around kind of secondary coach. He specializes in cornerback. Obviously, this is a guy that's going to come in and maybe be able to work with the safety position that I think Dallas is going to be trying to take a step forward with. And I really am curious as like how this safety room is going to shape out. We talked about corner, but I mean, safety is something that I think we could see guys either leave or, some additions there. What you got, Coach?
Oh, I think it's, how this – I haven't looked at it enough, but I think it's, it'll be interesting to see how this draft shakes out. I don't know from a free agent standpoint what's out there, or, really how much money they're going to have to spend. I do like that there's options. And so having options is a good thing, and not being able to, or not getting yourself shoehorned into having to do one thing or another thing, I think is only going to be beneficial not only to Will McClay, but to the entire staff, and understanding that this thing has got to be reshaped. And I like that. I've always believed that the first step to recovery to anything is recognition, and they recognize that they didn't get it done defensively, and they moved on from pretty much everybody on that side of the ball. And so, not that I'm ever for anybody to get fired, but I do think that when you look at it, bringing a new staff in and then bringing some guys that you have familiarity with is going to be big. And if I'm not misunderstanding, if I'm not wrong here, I think the Eagles have a free agent safety. Now, does Dallas decide to move in that direction? I don't know, but I think the more guys that you can surround yourself with that understand what Parker wants to do, how he wants to do it, how he wants to teach it from day one until the time that you break training camp, I think is very important. And then how you implement the defense. So I'm all for looking at all options, including obviously the draft, free agency, and then, hey, what do you have in the building, and do they fit with what your expectations are or what you want?
Yeah, this is a sneakily good draft class, deep draft class when it comes to corner. There's some really nice safeties on the top end as well. Some of them can do it all. Obviously, the big one is Caleb Downs, but there's other gentlemen that are well versed and can do some things as well. Coach, you mentioned the free agency pool. There are a couple guys from the cornerback position that will be free agents that I think Dallas could attack. I mean, you mentioned the gentleman from Philly, a little long in the tooth, but still would be able to come in and kind of be a foundational piece, like you're saying, Coach, to transitioning what the coach wants to the field and for the other guys. But yeah, even at the safety position, there's some free agents. And as you talk about that, Coach, as you say, well, as Parker comes in and implements what he wants, if gentlemen don't fit what he wants, if gentlemen can't do what he wants, then I think that's going to be a big part of like some of the evaluation period here and as they go forward for the draft.
Yeah, and here's what I'm saying. I mean, this guy is he's going to bring an odd front.
Wait,
so
didn't you say that?
They're going to be three down linemen with a couple of overhang players. Now, one of those guys is probably going to drop out of there. But the point I'm making is that you have to be well-schooled and well put together when you're changing from a 34 scheme, or what used to be a 43 scheme or a 42 nickel, to what now could look like a 33 nickel, or even sometimes a 32 dime look. So all of that is going to change because of angles, how you drop, where you drop to, what your leverage is, all of those things. And so this is going to be a totally different animal from, I believe, how they teach it day one until how they, how it comes to the field. And I'm talking about day one and OTAs and all the things that they're going to have time to do. And guess what? I'm sure he's going to have all kinds of cut-ups and all kinds of things for the players that are in there right now to start looking at and evaluating where they are and how these players that they have currently on the roster fit into that scheme.
Coach, can you explain to the people the difference between a 3-4 and a 4-3? I know you're talking about dropping, but like for the people who don't know, can you explain it?
Yeah. So in a 34 front, in a base 34 front, you have a true nose guard. Now, whether he's playing a shade or he moves over 6 inches to the right or 6 inches to the left from the center, then you have two, what I would consider to be defensive tackle / ends. Okay. And those guys are normally three, which is a three technique, which is an outside eye of a guard, or it could be a 4-eye, an inside eye of the tackle. Okay. Again, we're talking about 6 inches in here. And then you have how we used to call it was a 34, a true 34 front. is that, we've always known what a Sam, Mike, and a Will is. Now the guy that's bubbled to the weak side, or the off backer to the weak side, we would call him the buck linebacker. So you're not going to see, very few teams are going to line up in 12 personnel or 21 personnel where you're going to see a base 34 front. But what you are going to see, I believe, is you're going to see Odigizua, you're going to see Kenny Clark, and you're going to see why am I drawing a blank? The guy they traded to the Jets for
Williams.
Quinnen Williams.
Quinnen. I could see a scenario where you would have all three of those guys across your front. They were rotational guys a year ago, but literally you could see those three, I think, in the game, and then with two what I would call overhang players, which are guys that can either come and walk up and drop or bring it off the edge, kind of what you see in Pittsburgh and how Pittsburgh runs their defense. And so that is different than what Dallas used to play, which was a true 4-down scheme. Now they could shift the tackle to get him into a one eye and play an over or an under, depending on what the defense, what you want the front to look like. But it's going to be different from how you get into your zone perspective. So how do you drop if you've got two overhang guys? You're going to get the offense to question, okay, is he coming or is he coming? Because guess what? If we've got all five of these guys covered, then you see the offensive lineman, a lot of times it's the center, will come up and call out who the Mike linebacker is. Well, that's because they want to set the protection to who the 4-down linemen are and the other guy that the offensive line would have. That communicates with the running back. Okay, if we know they've got those four and that guy there, then that means I've got those two over there. And I've got to dual read that, either the what would be considered the Sam or the nickel. I've got to know where to go. And that's why Javvante was so good at that, because he could inside out read that and know where that guy was blitzing from. So I know I'm talking a lot of X's and O's here, but at the end of the day, what you're wanting to understand from a 34 scheme is it causes you a lot of confusion in your offensive line, because you don't know if it's true 5-down front, or is it a 4-down front, and they're going to drop one of those guys out. And then who else is the line going to have? Is it going to have that hang player to that linebacker? Then you got to have a smart enough guard. Let's say the guard's uncovered, because let's say it's a nose and a 4-eye, then your guard's uncovered. He's got to dual read that.
I can't. Thank you. I can't remember who it was that Dallas played. Who was the team that they played not towards the end of the year, but kind of that people were like, oh, they blitz, and it was Flores. Like, a lot of people were just like, oh, he blitzes all the time. And I'm like, no, it's a lot of simulated pressures. And that's kind of what coach is describing, is like, it's difficult, again, for offensive linemen to understand their assignments, running backs to understand their assignments, when it's unpredictable. It's multiple. It's another element for you to be competitive within the game. And so I'm excited about the multiplicity and them trying to do some things. But I feel you, coach. You can't do the stuff that they're going to be asking to do without guys that have their faces in their playbooks and that are physically capable of being rangy and being able to read and make the right decision. So I do think that we could see some guys on this roster that they may not ever say it out loud, but it was difficult for them to pick up on some of the stuff if they don't know how to do it, if they haven't done it before.
Yeah. And I mean, it's tough on an offense, and guess what? It's also tough on a defense. I mean, for years, there were a lot of people who wanted to run, that 34 scheme. But I mean, other than maybe Wade Phillips, Dick LeBeau, Marvin Lewis, I mean, after that, a lot of them couldn't marry the back end with the front end of that, because they were leaving zones unchecked. They were leaving zones uncovered. And then when you want to play man out of that, you really got your hands full, because there's not any underneath. There's not that many underneath levels of it. So a 34 defense, an Okie defense, can cause you some real problems, but you got to have it all coordinated front to back end. That's what I like about the Cowboys hire, is it seems like he knows it from the back end. So guess what? You're going to see all kinds of different, I think, looks. And here's the other thing. If they're not bringing more than 5, in my mind, I don't call that a blitz, because I've got 5 offensive linemen. I don't care which way they come from. To me, they're just X's and O's. But I do care in how you talk about it when you're saying, okay, is it a true blitz look? Because bringing 4 down and a linebacker, to me, they're just firing a linebacker. I mean, that's really not a blitz look. To me, a blitz look is when they bring more than 5, and then you got a receiver who better be ready to adjust if that's the case.
Well said. I like that, Coach. And we were kind of talking before the show, there are rumblings that Vic Fangio, the veteran defensive coordinator, now with the Eagles, may retire. He's thinking about it, and I'm sure he'll decide here pretty quickly what he's going to do. But maybe could we see him maybe rejoin Christian Parker and kind of help him get settled and give him a little advice on being a DC? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, you are throwing it out there, and I'm not sure that's very. If he wants to retire, he's probably going to step away from it, or you get back in the middle of it and you chase going and winning another Super Bowl. There's no. To me, you kind of can't be in the middle. I mean, you're either retired or you're in it. So I think he's, from what I understand, he's really trying to do some self search to say, hey, is this really what I want to do? Because it is a long year. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of hours, and it takes a lot out of you.
I mean, yeah, but why else would he be trying to retire? I'm being messy. Why else would he be trying to retire from, what reason would a coach have to leave a place with such talent and immense, success?
I mean, who knows? I don't know what what he enjoys. Does he like the sun? Is he a fish guy? Is he like to golf? There's a lot of different things and a lot of different reasons that guys say, is this really what I want to, because it is immersing yourself into doing that. And it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. So I just think some guys get to the point where, they've had enough. I mean, it's just kind of like, hey man, I'm turning the page. I got plenty of money. He's been a head coach. He's gone down that road. He's probably not ever going to be a head coach again. And so probably saying, hey, is this really what I want to do for another year? Or is it time for me to think about, stepping back and going enjoying your grandkids or whatever he enjoys doing?
Realistically, if I keep it real, that would be a pretty bold move to leave the Eagles to retire and then shortly thereafter come out of retirement to be a consultant with the Cowboys. That would add a little more spice.
Yeah, it's fun to think about, though, isn't it? I mean,
it probably is. Coach, from a consultant perspective, I would assume is less delegation and responsibility as a DC. Yeah. So, given we don't know all the reasonings and stuff, some guys do want less responsibility. Some guys don't want to have to do that forever. It's heavy, and like Coach talks about, I don't think we talk about enough. Yeah, like the coach's sacrifice as well. But at the end of the day,
it gets 6 o'clock at night, and he doesn't feel like hanging out around there till 9:30 or 10 o'clock. He goes home. I mean,
I want Benjo to have I want him, whatever he decides to do, his impact on the game and what he's done has made a difference for me in my study. But Philly having trouble is always gonna do something for me. So.
Yeah, we were talking. I mean, I think the whole Nick Sirianni, AJ Brown blow up on the sideline. I mean, that really talk about a free pass. That really got swept under the rug. I mean, back in the day, that would have been a pretty big deal. And it was just, oh well, no big deal. I mean,
No, it's a big deal. Like from my understanding, it is a big deal. It's been a big deal down there for a while. They just have great PR.
yeah.
And even at that, they could only do so much. They could only do so much.
That's right. All right. When we come back, I want to ask both of you another coaching question. We got a lot to get to. Want to also preview coming up. George Pickens spoke today at the Pro Bowl, and I'll tell you what he had to say. I don't know if this is going to be as smooth as everybody thinks it's going to be. It's just they're going to tag him with the tag and live happily ever after. I don't know if it's going to go down like that. We'll get into that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. I want to talk to you about Prize Picks and what they're doing right now, because the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And this week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game live in the app right now. Drake May needs just one passing yard for the max discount to win. So you add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in. It's that simple. So here's the thing. Prize Picks, super simple to use, takes no time to get started. The whole format is clean. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections. It makes watching the games even more fun because every drive and every stat matters. And you can follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade picks right from the feed. So here's what you do. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And I also want to speak to you about Drip Drop and what's going on with them as I find their well-deserved notation at the bottom of the screen. That's very important. We got a whole bunch of these, and the key is to have it ready to go. But when they're spread out like this, it just takes a second. There we go. Beautiful. Ad-libbing there. So kicking off the year feeling good is the goal, right? And honestly, hydration is the easiest win. To stay on top of it, your energy, focus, and mood all level up. But let's be real. Plain water doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. So that's where Drip Drop comes in. It's doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. You think clearer, focus, better energy, elevated mood, and even that fresh skin glow. So if you use Drip Drop as part of your daily routine, it really is honestly a game changer, not just for workouts, but for every single day. They have the precise ratio of electrolytes and glucose for rapid absorption, and it delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading sports drinks, and the taste is amazing. There are 16 original flavors and 8 zero sugar options for you to choose from. Now, they have flexible subscription options, so you never have to be stuck without it, whether you're hitting the gym, juggling work, or just staying consistent with your goals. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com, use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, we're back. The Cowboys Squad Show. Iisha Morrison, former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith, smiling.
How you get some of that Drip Drop stuff?
Yeah.
How you get that stuff? I mean, if we're on here talking about it, send me some of it. I want to know what it's all about.
Dripdrop.com. On NFL.
You said it. I about said God bless you. I didn't know if it was a sneeze or what it was when you started reading it.
Oh,
So
Lord.
I was just thinking about it with Christian Parker, right, and Derek Ansley, also former Cardinals corner coach Ryan Smith. They're in. The Cowboys have had some more interviews as well. Eric Henderson, who's the USC run game quarter, Denzel Martin, the Steelers outside linebackers coach, and Marcus Dixon, the Vikings D-line coach. They've had in-person interviews, more to come, almost full. But I'm curious with Parker and Ansley specifically, coach, when you're coaching, right, you're focused on, say, your tight end group, right? As you go through the season, do you have a pretty good idea of like which tight ends around the league that you like, which ones you think are not that good? And my point being is that can Christian Parker and Derek Ansley, if the Cowboys do need to get some free agents, corners or safeties or both, would they have a pretty good idea of who they would want and like to see the Cowboys sign?
Yeah, I mean they're aware of what's out there in the league, and you can walk in to any pro department,
Yeah.
and I can guarantee you they're going to have, and I don't know how it's set up currently, but they used to have, boards around the pro department, and you could walk in there and you could see how the pro department had everybody ranked. If you wanted to look at the strong safeties, you could look up there and see who they had as the number one strong safety in the league and look down to 32 and look in between there and see who's who. And normally they color tag those guys with a grade. So the color matches what kind of grade they have, and then that's how they put them on the board. And every position is lined out that way. And that may be different now with what they do from a AI standpoint, how they have it on computers. Maybe they've got that information that sells around the net. I don't know. But the point is yes, they can go in there and say, okay, who do you have, whether it's Terry Gray or one of the pro scouts, and say, hey, who do you have as the top rated free safety? And they might say, hey, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's look at some film of these three guys that and let's just see if we see them the same way that you see them. Now you got to remember, I'm going to say when Christian Parker took the job, the vision of the scouts had to immediately change. And I'm saying that because I'm sure that they're looking for different body types of guys than maybe what Eberflus or White Cotton were looking at. For instance, might Ezeraku fit better in this scheme because he doesn't have to get out there and put his hand down every time and get locked up with a 330-pound offensive tackle that's outweighing him by 80 pounds. Might he be able to drop some? Might he be able to do some other things? And sure, that can happen. But as far as how they're lined up, yes, they have a priority ranking on every single free agent, but it doesn't have to be the same way that you see it necessarily. I'm saying I can remember multiple times, getting in a bantering with Tom Siskowski, who at the time, I'll give you an example. I mean, I liked Lawyer Malloy. I thought Lawyer Malloy would knock your yang off. And Tom said, well, he can't cover. And then sure enough, I think that year in the Super Bowl, maybe Desmond Howard runs through the middle and beats Lawyer Malloy. I mean, and so, a lot of it is in the eyes of the beholder, but that didn't mean that Lawyer Malloy didn't turn out to be a hell of a football player. So the point I'm making is yes, they're going to rank them, and yes, they're going to have, from a priority standpoint, what they want and how they want to go about that. And then does it fit into what they're doing right now?
Okay.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
something we heard, Stephen. Yeah, that's actually heard to kind of answer your question, Jeff. Yeah, that's something that Steven said in his interview at the Senior Bowl, talking about the fact, even through the coaching process, well, the hiring process, even for gentlemen that they're not hiring, you're getting like a wider net of maybe stuff that maybe you don't see. Obviously, there are area scouts like the pro scouts that go out and they are responsible for keeping up with, who's who around the league, who's on who's practice squad, who can we poach, all that stuff. But these coaches, Steven was talking about the fact that having these coaches come in, you're getting insight that maybe you didn't have before. You can have as much as you can, but you're not in that damn building. So you got these multiple coaches coming in, interviewing. They're telling you about your offense. They're telling you about your defense. You can get tangible information and go forward with that. But to answer your question, yeah, like they should be getting a type. And I think that's for people who do draft and handle stuff. And now as the staff kind of rounds out a little bit more, we'll get a little bit more context schematically and things like that of what these guys kind of look for. And that'll help us in the drafting process to do better and understand what it is we're supposed to be looking for.
That's good to know. Good stuff. Yeah, I was looking ahead, and apparently to the so-called experts, this free agency period, safety is going to be one of the deeper positions available. Some of the names out there, Kevin Byard with the Bears, Andre Cisco, Jalen Thompson. You mentioned Reed Blankenship, Waquan Brisker is one. So there's going to be some guys that are available also with the draft. Caleb Downs. There's one rumor out there that the Cowboys would make a trade with, this is from USA Today. They put together their mock draft, and they say the Cowboys would trade up to number 8 to get Caleb Downs, and then the Cowboys would get the Saints' second rounder and third rounder, with New Orleans receiving number 112 in the fourth round. So a lot of work, a lot of dots to connect with that. But
yeah, it just depends on how the board falls. I mean, we'll see. What's going to be really weird this year is the fact that quarterback is meh. And typically that kind of gives you some flexibility at the top. But with us not knowing what quarterback's going to be like, yeah, we might see some positions go off the board earlier that we normally don't see and stuff like that. I really think this board is going to fall, and there's going to be some guys available in those second. It's killing me that Dallas doesn't have a second and third round pick. It's killing me. It's killing me thinking about it. I'm sick. But to your point about the safeties, yeah, there are some guys out here. I mean, I think that a Cameron Curl would be a guy that I'll be interested in as well. Tyreek Woolen is going to be available too. So there's out of all, like, most free agency classes don't have good like DBs. This is like one of the few times that you see some DBs that can actually come in and make your team better, I think, in free agency.
Yeah, and then how expensive are they? You know what I mean?
Probably expensive.
What's the market going to be? It's going to be expensive. So that's
Probably.
and that's where you're at. I mean, you have to prioritize. We talked about it earlier: the receiver, the running back that's currently on your team, and then is that going to then force you to have to do some things maybe that you're not crazily comfortable about in the draft? So I think all of that is yet to be seen, and how they go about this. And Jerry and Stephen, Will McClay, they're good listeners until you show them that you don't know what you're talking about. So year one, the defensive coordinator is going to get some say in the room, unless he goes in there and pulls a couple of duds. And then if that happens, then you got real problems.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is us getting the opportunity to hear them at the Senior Bowl. Listening to Will McClay, Will McClay. I know you know this, Coach. Will McClay on a mic is very reserved, but there were a few times in his interview that you could tell that this process has been, to find the defensive coordinator. They've taken it seriously. He said that it's been very collaborative, and what is the word that he used? Like, they're in unison, like, getting it together. And with Steven, I mean, there seems to be some excitement there. And again, these are gentlemen who don't really express that like that. But listening to Will McClay, I was like, okay, they feel like this was an inclusive process and everybody's on the same page. And honestly, Coach, Jeff, that's all we've been asking for, is that the defense did not look like it's on the same page. They got to put it on the field, but at least at the start, it's already starting. Like, it seems like everyone's like-minded about what's happening over there.
Nice. I like that. That's good to hear. We'll keep that going. And I'm trying to think, they have how many positions do they still have to fill? Like linebackers and
Linebacker, defensive end. I mean, if you want to say a cornerback, of course.
I mean, for
You're
the
talking
coach,
about you talking about the coaches.
Talking about coaches.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
No, they
we're about there, right?
Yeah, I think they've got two, but I mean, they'll hire another secondary guy, a D-line guy, probably maybe two more linebacker guys, and one of those guys would be an assistant. But you're going to see some what I think would be probably three more core guys to the defense.
Okay. All right. Well, when we come back, I want to shift gears because, as I said, George Pickens spoke today, and you can even see it yourself, the video. Clarence Hill was able to get him one-on-one on the field. We'll talk about that and everything else before we finish up our show. We've got a little less than half hour to go. Great to be with you, though. It is the Cowboys Squad Show. And I want to tell you a little bit about Quo and what they've got going on, because it's a new year, new systems, and this is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. Well, there is, and streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled just like you say it, Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you are creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Now, here's a couple of things about Quo that stands out. Number one, your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread. That makes replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically, they log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps. So no details ever slip through the cracks. No surprise, Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, turned by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. So make this the year where no opportunity, no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's quo.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Okay, we are back. Cowboys Squad Show. Iisha Morrison with 2 eyes and former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. We've been talking about George Pickens and his looming contract, and there's still time. We're not even into the new year yet. But Clarence Hill spoke with Pickens today at the Pro Bowl practice, and I watched it. Pickens said, when asked about coming back and everything working out good, he was upbeat. There was no attitude. He was good. He was chill. He was in a good place. He said it's a possibility that he'll be back, and that now he is waiting on the Cowboys, most likely in March when the new league year begins. But apparently, Iisha, you might have heard this. Apparently, he and Clarence brought it up that Jerry Jones said to him or to somebody that they would use the Pickens money. Now that they have Pickens money, they can use that money to take care of Pickens.
Micah.
Parsons, Pistons, Pickens. Yeah, so that's kind of the mindset that Pickens, with the Micah money, the Cowboys will be able to take care of him. That's kind of, I think, what the expectation is coming up. Will that happen? We'll see. But I don't, the whole just tag for 1 year, and he was asked about that and said he hadn't really heard anything about that. But I think we would all agree. I mean, he came here. This was his contract year. He balled out. and I'm sure he wants somebody, to pay him what he believes he's worth. What do you guys
I
think?
don't know why they. I don't know why they. I don't personally like when ownership does that. It's not my business, but I don't like when ownership says we can't pay one guy because of the other guy. I don't really like it because this is supposed to be a team sport, is it not? I think that sowing that type of discord when it comes to financials is never beneficial to building a team. Now is that is if is Jerry saying that doesn't mean anything? Whatever. I don't know. He could be just talking. I'm just saying what it looked like. It don't look good because it looked like you're trying to put your players against each other, and you ain't got time for that because you ain't won a championship in decades. Furthermore, when it comes to Pickens, I maybe I'm different about this, but I've seen Pickens in interviews. I've been there when he's interviewed multiple times. I've spoken to him myself. Um, I understand that he gets a rap for kind of his attitude and things like that, but man, I think he handles the media really well. Like
Yeah.
that was a very impromptu, if I'm not mistaken, interview, Clarence. And I thought, I mean, he stayed really neutral through these talks. I remember during the season, people were asking him, and he just kind of looked in the camera and was like, hey, whatever happens, happens. Like he never really takes a side. He never really does too much. And I appreciate that because he could be bullish about it. He could be like, yeah, I know what I did this year. And he literally said to Clarence on this interview that you're talking about, he's like, I'm still taking it in that I performed to this level. So I don't see someone that is operating in pride or doing the most. I think he thinks he knows what he deserves, but I also think he does want to be here in Dallas. And Clarence also interviewed the quarterback. He wants him to be here too. And I think he has a say so as well.
Do you think that do you think Jerry coming out and saying that is him trying to kind of ease the water with David Mulugeta?
Possibly, I guess. But
I mean, that's what it feels like. That it feels like that's posture. Hey, you know what? We weren't able to get a deal with your other client. However, boy, if I got a deal here for this client, and guess what? You're going to make your money anyway, and let's kind of let bygones be bygones. That's to me, that feels like that's what Jerry's doing. Jerry's got his Zig Ziglar hat on, and he's selling the scenario of, I know we didn't get it done over there, and I don't like how that happened because I felt like I had a handshake deal with your other client. But I know with this client, we'll handle this a little different. And oh, by the way, I got that money still stashed aside to pay your guy. That's just what it feels like to me.
it's also different though because Micah, like Pickens ain't Micah. Pickens has had the year he had was an all-pro year. He's impressive. But Micah has done that over the course of multiple years. The conversation of like obviously wide receiver is premier position, but defensive end, we already know what people are looking for when they're talking about a speed rusher. So it's like I also think I agree with you, Coach, but I also think that the conversation is totally different from a Micah to a Pickens. Like I don't think that
And
negotiation.
I don't think Jerry sees that. I think Jerry's making that comment to address the agent, not to address either one of the players. He's trying to say, hey, you know what? Not real sure he handled it right with Micah. They had a handshake deal. He left the agent out. The agent got his feelings hurt. Whatever. Hey, he's kind of, to me, I take the comment as he's extending the olive branch to the agent. Doesn't have anything to do with either one of the players.
Interesting. That's an interesting perspective.
I think my
sorry to bother you.
My only concern is, maybe it's just me. I get concerned though that his agent is, he's going to want to get a big, nice, sweet, fat deal, especially with the salary cap going up over $300 million. And I just hope that there's a way to make him feel like or his agent feel like he's got the best deal with the Cowboys, and it's a deal that Cowboys are okay with, and that would still leave them enough to do some of the other things that they need to do.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I'm
asking. I hope so too, but yeah. I do feel like Pickens is a lot less hands-on than Michael was.
Definitely,
with this process. I think he really looks to his agent to take care of things. And from my understanding, Michael was very like with the agent. So yeah. So anyway.
Okay. So kind of along those lines, I don't know what it is. I mean, we talk about, we've had nothing but praise for Javvante Williams, right? We've talked about it during the season and all the good things and the fact that he was a great fit and the blocking, and I'm sure he wants to come back, but no exaggeration, at least once a week, there's some rumor that comes up of the Cowboys getting somebody else because they're going to have to replace Javvante Williams. Why do you think so many people feel like he's not going to re-sign with the Cowboys? Like there's one out today about the Pro Football Focus said they could, do a Javvante type signing again this season with Tyler Algier from the Falcons, who's a free agent. Like, but why does everybody think he's not going to go? Is it just they think he's going to get a better deal, or that the Cowboys aren't going to want to pay him what the market bears?
And I think that's just because of how Dallas has handled running back in general. Does it look like they've gave a damn about running back in the last however many years at this point? So I think people just kind of have like, angst about what it is they're going to do with it, because it's kind of been like a whatever happens type of thing. Like, let's not get it mistaken. Like, the scouts looked at Javvante. They thought that he was ready. I know Clayton Adams was ready for him, but we had to see him put it on the field this year coming back from the ACL. So I mean, they kind of lucked up with him, in my opinion, personally. I think so. So I don't know. I think it's just because of how Dallas has handled running back since Ezekiel Elliott. I think that's kind of why people feel the way they feel. They don't know if Dallas is going to take it seriously or even pay another guy in that way. But I think they can work Javvante's deal where it's like it's fair to him. And then they also work with some incentives, maybe some bonuses, some things like that. But I know he likes it here. I know he's really comfortable in this scheme. And to Coach's point, I just don't know if you can replace the pass pro. I mean, it sounds like a small thing, but Coach, we talked about it. We don't even know what's happening at right and left tackle this year.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, they as an organization, I don't know this. I'm just going by how they've handled running backs in the past, and they don't value that position like maybe they have in the past. Now, you say that, and then you insert him into what he did this year and what he was able to do this year, and now you have a scouting department that has scouted. We'll go right back to what we talked about earlier. I mean, if you think Javvante Williams' name is not listed up there on the top running backs that are free agents, of course it is. And they're going to look up there and they're going to say, okay, who do you have ranked better from a free agent standpoint than Javvante Williams? And I'm going to say they probably don't, just simply because not only of his production, but what he did from an overall perspective to help protect the quarterback. I mean, hadn't the quarterback been hurt? Tell me how many years in a row he'd been hurt until this year. Wasn't it 2 or 3?
I want to say maybe it's 2 or 3. He hasn't had a full season in maybe prior to this year, maybe the last 3 years before that. So this is
3 or 4, I want to say, but maybe you're right. But he had a full season. Now, why did he have a full season? Because you know what? Maybe he lost. Maybe he got himself in better shape. Okay, whatever. At the end of the day, he wasn't taking the shots. And he wasn't taking the shots because that running back was busting his ass protecting him and dual reading it inside out a bunch of times. And guess what? When he wasn't in there, man, did it show, when they had the other one in there. So, I just think there's more value than just carrying the football.
Yeah, I think if I'm Dallas and I'm trying to get a gentleman to, if it's not, I mean, even with Jadon Blue, I wouldn't even be going forward as though he's the number 2. Dallas needs to get, if they are going to keep Javvante, they need to get him some relief. They need to get him a guy that can come in and to, help him out as well, because you see some wear and tear towards the end of the season. But to Coach's point, he was throwing his body out there. There were times where he's just all out throwing his shoulder into a guy to protect. So, I mean, that's that football stuff that you can't teach want to and willingness in that way. You can't teach that. And in covering the running backs that I have covered and watched in the draft thus far, and even in the last couple of years, good pass protecting running backs that are skilled are hard to come by.
And
They're hard
how
to come by.
long, let's just say, let's just play the game. How long do you think it would take a great running back coach to get a running back up to speed to where he could understand and be at the level that Javvante is? I'm talking about, it ain't going to be 1 year. That's not 1 year. You think about what Javvante went through with Sean Payton and how he had to understand protections and all the things that he came up with. Everybody thinks the running back it's about the football. It ain't about the football. It's about when you don't have the football.
Amen. Well, I was thinking about it. He got hurt on his rookie contract in Denver, so he really hasn't had his big second contract, right? I mean, the Cowboys 1 year deal, right? That was his free agent move. So I'm sure he would like to have a little bit of security, a little more than just another 1 year deal. I think he'd like to get multiply because who knows how long or how much longer he'll be able to go. So this is his opportunity to try to get paid.
Yeah, there's a longevity piece when it comes to the running back position, and that's why I would assume to Coach's point, the Cowboys don't value it like that, just because guys do wear down and stuff. But if, like I said, if I'm Dallas, I'm looking at what I got. My scouts did their job. Let's keep this guy here. He already knows the offense. That's a plus. Maybe he can teach it and pass it down to, another guy. I don't want there to not be a foundational piece in that position. Does that make sense? Like, I just feel like with certain positions, you need a guy. Like right now, I'm thinking about the linebacker position. Like Overshown, I guess right now is the foundational guy. So when they add guys, he's the gentleman that can say, hey, this is what we're supposed to be doing here in Dallas. But with the running back position, you going to start from scratch again? Yeah. Hell no. Nah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Jeff, who drafted Javvante?
The Broncos, right?
Yeah, who was the head coach?
Who's the head coach? Right, it wasn't Sean Payton. Who was it before then?
Fangio there?
Huh?
Was that Fangio or?
Oh my goodness! That away, Jeff Biggs. That a way to answer a damn question. It's exactly who it was. And then he went to training camp, and guess what? He's been picking up those same blitzes that we were talking all the way earlier about.
Ooh.
You seeing how it's all fitting together? Jeff, you know what? You're gonna mess around and be magna cum laude and stretch his class here for long.
Talk that stuff, Coach. That's a good connection to make. That's interesting.
I was drawing a blank on Aaron Rodgers' buddy who had the one season, the one and done. I was drawing a blank on his name, but it doesn't matter.
Oh.
The offensive coordinator that worked with Rodgers, it came over that was before the Jets, I think.
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Josh McDaniels, who was there before Fangio?
No, after the guy that was Rodgers' coordinator, worked with him.
Hackett.
Yes, thank you.
Oh God.
See?
Hackett. Another thing too that I heard that a report came out from Jury Epstein. Shout out to her from Yahoo Sports. She got to catch up with Steven at the Senior Bowl, and he was telling her about, one of the benefits again of having these coaches in the building is that they're also telling them like, hey, they're adding value to Pickens by saying, y'all don't understand how hard it was to play y'all with these two guys out there. Like, he changes the whole offense. So she was saying in her report that to her kind of added to the fact that, you got to retain him. You got some fantastic defensive coordinators or coaches that have coached against you that are saying how much that stresses them as a defense. I think that further added to, we talked about it on my show earlier. I think that further adds to Pickens' value and, why you would try to keep him. I mean, he stresses defenses.
And you see now, go back to the whole conversation that we've had this whole show is about, okay, now you're getting another piece to add to that personnel board, right? You're getting another voice. You're getting another evaluator that's giving you valuable information about, okay, maybe you had this guy ranked here, but boy, these other two guys really liked what he brought. I mean, am I making sense with what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, you make perfect sense.
They wanted to know that. I'm sure they wanted to know about Javvante Williams, about the offensive line. Tell us about our offensive line. Do you think our offensive line is where we need to be, or are you going to come in here and tell us, boy, we know where your wink link in your offensive line was because we went and attacked this, and this. I mean, all of those things are becoming a piece of the puzzle that they're trying to put into place in order to not just hire a coach, but how they evaluate their team. I don't care what level of football you're at. And this is really becoming critical in the college game too, because of you have NIL dollars, and you can have all kinds of NIL dollars. You could have all kinds of money, but if you're not paying the right guys, you're not winning. And that's the same thing with the NFL. You've got to understand who and prioritize who you're going to pay, and then how you pay those guys. It's all got to fit together, and as much information as you can get, it only enhances your ability to be able to balance your budget and pay guys the way you should pay them. I get it. Pickett wants to be paid. But you know what? There's got to be another suitor out there in order to make him maybe get the money that he really wants. And so, hey, who is that other suitor? And at the end of the day, are we the best fit for you?
Right. Hold that thought. Final time. You're not bothering me at all, Coach. I love it. You're fired up tonight. It's a good thing. I like it. Final segment coming up. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. Well, we've got to finish things up with another word about game time, because there's nothing like being in an NBA arena. I mean, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle, and it puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. Now, they have all-in price up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. You're able to see the view from your seat before buying, and that makes the decision really easy. And they have these zone deals that stand out. You choose the section, and then Game Time picks the seats, and you save. And the other thing, too, they have great last-minute options as well. And with NBA tickets showing up at really solid prices, everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. All right, final segment before we wrap things up. Iisha Morrison and Glenn Stretch Smith, the coach. A lot of good stuff. So I'm with you, Coach. We got to see who wants what. And like you said, the money needs to go to the right players. And I don't know, is it just me, though, the fact that the Seahawks were able to just bring in Sam Darnold the way that they did, and they kind of had their defensive foundation, the fact that they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then you have Drake May, still a young guy, and the Patriots made it. I think it's like the ultimate kind of parody example of just how quickly you can turn things around if you put the roster together, like you said, Coach. And
right, but again, evaluate.
Yeah,
evaluate. How did 4 teams miss on Sam Darnold? He's been with 4 different teams. Mm-hmm. He's in the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he played well too.
Did Minnesota fire that GM because he let Darnold out of the building? Because he let Daniel Jones out of the building? Because they misevaluated? It's about the evaluation. And then what did I tell you it was about? Evaluation matches money. What are they paying Sam Darnold? $32.5 million for a quarterback gets you the Super Bowl. Cowboys paying 60. Pretty good. We're pretty good managing where they're at. I'm not saying Dak's not worth 6. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they had money and they fit their puzzle around the fact that they believed that Sam Darnold, who had won 14 games the year before in Minnesota, then went out, didn't have a good playoff game, threw some picks, maybe he reverted back to whatever, but they evaluated that correctly. And they fit it correctly with how they pay him. And then mid-year, guess what they did mid-year? They went to Clint Kubiak. Where did Clint Kubiak come from? New Orleans. Hey, Clint, is Shaheed oh, man, hell yeah. Let me tell you, he can return kicks. He can this, he can that. Opposite of Smith and Jigba. Okay. It's the same. Yeah. If you guys understand what I'm saying, they did the same exact thing. It's just how John Schneider decided to put that puzzle together and how they worked that to get themselves in position. And, you know, what did they do with how did they rank DeMarcus Lawrence? Pretty damn good. I mean, you know what I mean? And how they paid him, pretty good. They had him ranked correctly.
Yeah,
and
they also had.
I'm sure that people, but I'm sure there were people in that building saying, "Hey, you're long in the tooth." Okay, but
he had a sponsor. He had a sponsor with the Cowboys, former defensive line coach for Dan Quinn, Adam Durde, going up there as well. I mean, he's their new DC. And so, to your point, Coach, he had a guy that evaluation. Yeah. He had a guy come in and say,
hey, this guy may be this old, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you how he practices. Let me tell you how he prepares. Let me tell you what he does. Now, all of a sudden, that's part of the puzzle that I'm telling you has to all come together, and then you're able to have that kind of success. And so they got an absolute bargain value for Sam Darnold, paying him $33 million on a 3-year deal. I mean, they got him for 2 more years. That's absolutely a bargain for what they did. New England, Drake May's still under a rookie contract for, by the way, 3 more years.
And that's how you're supposed to do it. And that's how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to be cheap when you got the quarterback cheap. When you cheap when you got the quarterback cheap, then it shows. And that's really what they've done here. To summarize what Coach said, they had a plan.
I like that. Yeah, well said. That's it. Right.
They had a plan. They executed it.
Yep.
Simple as that.
That's why John Schneider may very well be the GM of the year, right? Because he went out and hired the right head coach, who hired the right coordinators, who brought the right information in the building, who then made the right picks with how they drafted, who then went and were frugal and smart in how they spent their free agent money. Smart in the mid-year trade deadline that they made, bringing Shaheed in there. It's right. You gotta hope that works here.
All right. Well, we do for sure, and we will continue with this puzzle again on Thursday night. Iisha, before we go, what do you have coming up this week that we can watch you until our next show?
I won't be on the stack with Crown Global Media this week. They're at the Super Bowl, but I will be on DallasCowboys.com on the draft show on Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. So if you want to check me out there, come see me, and I'll be back here on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night. Same time, same bad channel. Awesome. Thank you, Iisha with 2 eyes. Coach, thank you. Great insight today with breaking down the defenses and talking about it's, as my man Marcellus would say, the evaluation situation. I love it. We'll keep it going. Thank you to everybody for getting in with your comments and for watching us live and later on. And again, congrats to the Mosher family for their new addition, Marcus and his wife and their kids. Great time. Great time for sure. We'll be back next Thursday. This Thursday. This is the Cowboys Squad Show.